online. Welcome to another episode of the Big Blue Tent podcast. Come in, get comfortable. All are welcome here. The views from Gups and Aiden are strictly for entertainment purposes and should not be mistaken for facts. 30 seconds until round 1.
Shut up and sit down.
Okay then, so welcome to the Big Blue Tent podcast, episode number 8. It's Wednesday the 21st of June 2017 and you're listening to Matt Guppy and Aidan Burke of the Big Blue Tent. Hi Aidan.
Hi Matt, how you doing?
I'm all good mate, I'm all good. Before we go too far and get into a chat though, let's just say a quick thanks to all of our sponsors for all of their support. So, number 5 RC, Mike Parker up in the north.
Well done, Mike Parker.
We got Jet Set Robot, Paul Seddon, who has been great with all of his technical support for the team lately, so thanks Paul. We've of course got CML Distribution, RC Octane, John Finch down in the southwest, and Nuclear RC, which is of course Alan Painter. You can find all of those guys on Facebook, either through the Big Blue Tent page or through their own Facebook pages, as you'd expect to find them. So how are you, mate? How have things been going up in the northwest of the UK? You enjoying the heat?
Yeah, the heat's not too bad. It does seem to be getting hotter as the day goes on. We have had a bit of rain here, but it's like hot rain.
That's more typical for you northerners, isn't it? The rain rather than heat. I mean, you're not really used to having any sort of, what we would call a summer.
I remember you saying that when you were in Southport. You noticed it was just colder, but there's obviously a lot of northern boys walking around in shorts and t-shirts. It's like 26 degrees in my car now, so it's not too bad, mate. We'll get over it. I spend all my time in a car or in an office, which got aircon. So
yeah,
it's only
me
like
too.
walk to my car and go, oh my god, it's hot.
Yeah, it does make it feel 10 times as hot when you get out of a car that's had the aircon on.
Yeah.
But
maybe we should get some aircon for the Big Blue Tent for this weekend.
I think that's a good plan. That's a good plan. Well, no, I think we'll need to probably commandeer a few people's power supplies for that. But so what racing have you been doing, mate? What's been going on up there? You had a round at where was it? Were you at Southport last Sunday?
We were at Southport. It was just a club day. There was no real competitions on. Everyone ran what they brought, all mixed up together. 2-wheel drives, 4-wheel drives, 10.5s.
What was the track like in the heat?
Someone said later on, it sometimes actually feels like it's got less grippy as the day's gone on. Obviously, got no idea.
You seem to be losing signal a bit there, mate.
Okay, I will try and talk more clearly.
I don't think talking more clearly is going to help your internet. What dodgy car park have you found yourself in this week?
I am in the same dodgy car park I'm always in. Probably in the same parking space I'm always in. So look, you can even hear the seagulls in the background.
Well, you seem to have come back a bit now. You were saying the track seems to have lost a bit of grip when it gets really hot.
Yeah, I think so. Well, a few people said, now it was 27, 28 degrees all day from the morning to the 4 o'clock we finished. And then the last round and in the final, I think we had 5 rounds of qualifying actually, and a final.
Yeah.
1 or 2 people said it seems like the grip has gone. Not gone, terrible thing to say, but the grip certainly dropped. In Southport terms, it just disappeared.
Yeah.
You know, in anywhere else, there was still lots of grip. But yeah, I thought I felt it a bit. I don't know whether it was my tyres going off. But I did put a new set of tyres on actually for me last round of qualifying and my final, because my car was great. I'd done a bit of prep beforehand, changed my shocks, changed my diff, done all that, give it a nice clean, give it a wipe down, replaced a couple of broken bits. But my car was just excellent. I just put my car down and thought, well, that's just not going to drive any better. And my first run was really good. I just followed someone else. I can't remember what number I started, a high-ish number. Caught up the people in front of me, and then went past them. And then just on me, like 10 of 13 laps, a back marker again, tried to get out the way, grip rolled because he was on a slightly different line than he normally would be, and rolled into me. And it was just in a place where it was clear, you could see on the times, it just cost me 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But even with that 10 seconds, I got an 8.
Oh, nice.
So it stopped it being a really good run, and I think I got an 8 and Garner got a 7. Even with that big 10-second break, Garner was all. That's how my day went. Good runs. It did. Another time. In fact, what I'll say on the podcast at the beginning of the podcast is, I was leading on track, leading on the clock, about a second on the track. There was Garner, me, and Lee. Garner made a little error going into the concrete, and as he made that error, he collected me. But I then got away, but that made me go slightly wide into the concrete, which, to be honest, I haven't done well since he's gone in. And Lee then tried to go up the inside of me, Lee Chorley, and just tapped me, and it was a tiny tap, but I just rolled then. And then, as my luck for the day was, the marshal then dropped me and they marshalled me back onto my roof. But again, it turned, so I was really happy with my drive because I still got an 8.
Well, you can't moan at that. I mean, if it's not your fault that if it's just an incident, a racing incident, if nobody's done anything maliciously or you haven't made any ridiculous mistakes yourself, you kind of come away from that going, well, that was as good as it was going to be. And it's not such a letdown.
And Lee was just sitting and goes, I'll wait. I said, no, mate. No. At the time, I just went, totally accidental. You drive on, mate.
But in the back of your head, you're thinking, yeah, well, you should wait, really.
Well, no, actually, what I said, I come off the rostrum. As I was coming off, I went, I can't believe you didn't wait there, Lee.
Yeah, nice.
Nice. Quite loudly. And people go, didn't he wait? I said, no, he never waited.
No, he never waited. I even said to him on the rostrum, it'd be great if you waited, mate. I'd appreciate that. And he just drove off.
He just drove off. Well, actually, I told him not to wait, but not so many people heard that. I think the fella next to me, I think it was Garner, turned around and go, you told him not to wait. I said, yeah, but no one else knows that. So with the entire marshalling of the next 5 minutes of the top heat, I was like, well, you never waited for me, Lee.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about people getting dropped on their roof. Did you see our Idle Murphy guy has popped up the national videos from the weekend? And I cannot remember now for the life of me if it was the B or the C final. There was just some epic race going on. I think Tony Avdoka was commentating on it, and the marshal went. He was looking the other way, and I think he was watching a couple of other cars go around the corner because he was sort of marshalling 2 corners at once.
Yeah,
and I it all happened so kind of quickly. The car that was chasing the leader just came round a corner, rolled over, did something. And the marshal was looking the other way, and Tony's screaming out over the mic at him, so, Marshal, Marshal! And then as the marshal runs over, everyone's looking at him. He picks up the car and just flips it on its roof, and he's, you can imagine what Tony's like over the mic. He's, Marshal! Oh, hang your head in shame, It was pretty funny. If anybody hasn't seen that, do watch that 2-wheel drive finals video from up at Robin Hood last weekend. That was a really good video. Some funny bits there, and some really really close and quality racing through most of the finals. To be honest with you, all the way down, some great racing up there. That was a tough field to get anywhere in, without a doubt.
Yeah, I've seen some comments of it seemed like it was a tough track, a difficult track, difficult to get right. That's what people have. I think James Helliwell's come out and said next time I'll make it a bit easier.
I don't know.
It
Looked great to me.
Looks similar to a similar kind of layout to what we ran when we were at Robin Hood earlier in the year.
Yes and no. There were bits, but there was quite a bit of difference all in.
Oh yeah, no, it was a completely different track because they did the two like tabletops or jumps in front of the rostrum. They didn't do that. We went straight over, and they didn't do anything like that at all.
I like the bit coming onto the straight. Actually, that was completely different to how we had it.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't using the big bank at the beginning of the straight. That was kind of its own corner in itself, and then it was the next section up where you came onto it. I thought that worked really well. I thought that looked really good. I would have loved to have driven that track, to be honest. Yeah,
it looked good. Look, everyone's come back really happy stories. The weather again was brilliant. It was for everyone over here. What we'll make sure we'll do is we'll share that Idle Murphy YouTube video.
Yeah, we'll stick that on the page, I think, or on the website. Yeah,
we'll put that on just so make people make sure they can watch it because they are great videos. He does do a great job recording all of the finals for all of the nationals so far this year.
Yeah,
he did a few Opal ones as well when they were up north. So
yeah, I saw some of the Teesside ones. I think Helliwell's won another farm diversity award, isn't he, or something for the biggest oven ever constructed in the middle of a field.
Yeah. I'm sure that was quite toasty.
I'm sure it was. If the pits at Mendip last weekend were anything to go by, that must have been insanely hot inside there.
Oh, yeah, I suppose, with Mendip's ceiling being a bit low, it must have been like being in an oven.
It was like being under a grill. It was like being under a grill all day. But Paul Field, one of the guys I was pitting with, he's one of these guys. He's got all the bits of kit. He's got the LED laser temperature reader for his motors and batteries and all of that sort of stuff. And he stuck that up on the roof, the underside of the roof of the pits. And it was, I think that must have been like 11 o'clock in the morning. So not even at the hottest part of the day. It was at 70 degrees centigrade on the roof.
Nice.
You couldn't put your hand on it for more than a second without going, oh, Jesus Christ, that's roasting hot. But yeah, wow, what a weekend that was. That was scorching, still is now. But
I think how you sort out the temperature of your motors. Is it as hot as the roof?
How many Mississippis can I hold my finger on it?
Yeah.
Before I'm going, ow, that's too hot to hold my finger on it. Yeah, that's what we do.
How was your racing?
Great, same thing for us. The heat was insane. So it was only really practice where there was any legible grip or useful grip. The rest of the day, because Mendip's backfield was sand, the sand just all came to the top. It just all sat on the top of the Astro, and because there was so much coming out, it sat there. Even on the racing line, I was walking over whilst the rallycross lot were going. There's some good numbers turn up again at the weekend as well. But I go out because we don't run the off-road track. Nobody practices or anything whilst the on-road track's going, and vice versa. It's just a thing that they do to keep it nice and fair for everybody. But yeah, going out onto the track for what little time I could bear going out onto the track for, because it was just ridiculous. You could run your hand across the racing line, and it wasn't like clean Astro. It was sand everywhere.
Right.
It was just sand. There was no clean racing line. Everywhere had a layer of sand, albeit the racing line was much less than the outside bits. But still, it was like driving a wet, dry track.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Really, really, really tough. I mean, we were still pulling some awesome laps. The racing was fantastic. I think the etiquette was almost better than I've seen it in a long time. Everybody was dead happy and having a great time and a good laugh. I think, I mean, me personally, I had an absolute drive my life on the final. Brilliant,
Right.
brilliant final. Fantastic drive.
Where did you qualify?
Third in the A and then finished second. Paul Field TQ'd it, and he had a crash early on which put him at the back and at Mendit.
And you didn't let him past?
If you've gone to the back on the first lap, you have got to be insanely lucky or some sort of driving genius to be able to fight your way back through everyone and get to the front again, especially in one of the A finals like there was last weekend, because it's just so tight, it's so technical, and the drivers that drive there have driven there a lot most of the time and are very good. They know the line, they know where to place the car to make it very, very difficult to overtake. So
what tyres did you have on? Because I've had a couple of questions off mainly some of the American guys, 110 who are.
Hang on a minute, I know why you're right. You're not asking for any Americans that aren't coming over. You're asking because we've got a big competition coming up at Mendip in 2 weeks.
Me and Corey Yoda. Let's just drop his name in there, right? Me and Corey.
Hi, Corey.
Yeah, hi, Corey. In fact, he's asked a couple of questions.
Oh, well, there goes Aidan. So we are probably going to find out what Corey asked when Aidan comes back. I think he's come back now, maybe?
Yay, how you doing?
There you are.
Right. So what Corey asked, actually, he did ask a question this week, and I didn't know the answer, so I just said, speak to Felix. But what tyres were you running at Mendy? Front and back?
Well, okay, so I tried in practice when I first went out. I had mini spikes on the back, yellow Schumacher mini spikes, a standard medium Schumacher insert on an AE wheel for anybody that wants to get super into it, and I had some normal stagger ribs, some yellow compound stagger ribs from Schumacher on the front, with the bead cut out and the rim glued to the edge of the wheel. That's what I ran for practice, and it was fine. The car went around okay. What I did think was that with the spikes on the back, it made the rear end of the car waggle a little bit on the suspension. So it's difficult to explain. The front end always seems very settled, and then the rear end just would kind of just wobble about a little bit and do its own thing.
Okay. Coming out the corner.
Coming out wasn't too bad, but going into was hard, just unsettling for the back end of the car. So then for qualifying, I thought I just want to try something completely different because I felt comfortable on the track. I felt like I could drive the track. And you get onto a track layout and you can just pick up the way that it flows around.
Yeah.
Well, Rob Painter's very good at doing that with his layouts. Me and him, when we got there first thing in the morning, gave Rob a hand to lay the track, and I kind of said, I'm not running this club anymore. You're race director, you tell me, I'll pull the pipes about for you, and you can go and do your thing and get the rest of the day set up. So he said, right, I want to go here, and we pulled it about, and the track just worked. It was great. So well done to Rob for that one. That was a great track at the weekend. But I thought I'll have a quick change for round one of qualifying. I'll go into it with all the pro lines on. So I put the pinpoints on the back and the wedge squares on the front. I don't know whether it was the tyres, whether it was just the temperature, whether it was just the sand. Sorry, I just dropped something on me then. Whether it was just the sand that had come up a bit too much for them. The car was quick, but it wasn't quick enough. I think I got an 8 in the first round, and I like to put a good score in the first round.
Okay.
You know, maybe not the quickest time of the day, but just the solid time in the first round always does well. And then I changed to yellow Schumacher darts on the back. No rows cut off of them. No, I don't. I just don't do it. I don't do it with any tyres. Don't believe it. Cut all the rows you want if that's the sort of thing you want to do. I don't cut anything off the tyres. I just don't do it.
Okay.
I put darts on and cut staggers. Reasonably new set of cut staggers on the front. And the car just came alive. It was just unbelievably good. Unbelievably good. I put some of the fresh MIP orange little puck things on, the little roller puck things.
Yeah, you told me about that. I tried to get some for my yoke, but they don't make them.
Well, they only make them for properly quick cars. That's probably the thing.
Okay.
But
maybe your outdrives are a bit soft.
Maybe that's what it is. I put a new set of them on with the darts and with everything else. I've never felt better or more in control of a buggy, even on that surface. And that was a difficult surface to race on. It was great. It was absolutely flying. You know, I couldn't pull the wind together. I made a mistake in the final. My own fault. I went over a sort of corner jump bit, sort of cornery tabletop in the middle of the track, and I just went over it a bit too tight. Clipped the track marker. Similar sort of thing. The marshal was looking at the other side at cars coming round, and you know he was sat in the position number 3 where I was. 2 corners to cover. Happened to be looking at the other guys when I flipped over, so that just let Mark pull away, have a nice comfortable lead, and yeah, I just tried to get as far away from John Cryer and his Lozzie as I could.
Yeah, it's always a good thing. So that's handy news for me and Corey, because clearly we're thinking mainly of Corey there, not about my prep for Mendy at all. So I can now message Mike Parker with my tyre order, and Mike's on holiday next week, so he's actually down.
But is he down here on holiday?
He is actually, yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
So
that'll be good.
You need to sort your tyres orders out nice and early. Flew pull off Mike.
Now, I did mine about a month ago for Mendipool, but you know,
I'm just doing mine now.
If the week before is nice and early for you, then that's cool as well.
It's pretty early for me. In fact, I wouldn't have. Yeah.
Oh, you still there? Hello.
Hi, mate.
Hi, mate. What's going on?
Just been a bit funny. Hang on. See what happens now. Yeah, I'll be back in a sec.
Ah, excellent. I'm sure the listeners will enjoy it.
Thank you. That's perfect. I'm back now.
Ah, well done there, mate.
Thank you very much.
Well done. Yeah.
Your car turns off. So you had a good day. That's the important thing. You think you had a really good day. We've sorted my tyres out.
I didn't say I had a really good day. I think I could have had a better day.
Right, okay.
You know, clearly I could have won. I could have TQ'd.
Yeah.
I had made mistakes, you know, through the day, but the mistakes were mine. They certainly weren't anything to do with the buggy. It was absolutely on top.
Okay.
That's what I would say about it. So what is next for you guys? What have you got coming up next? You're a regional same as us next weekend?
Yeah. The regionals at Southport.
Okay.
We've all done and dusted. We've got some people there actually there today doing some prep. Dave Scouse has been good and he's cut down all the 9-foot nettles. We do need to probably blow the track. There's a lot of like flowers, blossom, whatever on the track, so the track looks like it's been snowing and white petals. So we will get all that blown off. We booked the food man, part of the.
Is it the same food man that came for Southport Opal last year?
Yes, it was.
He was great. That was awesome.
I'd like to say he's part of a well-organised group who have a lot of control over burgers and ice cream sold in Southport.
Well, good for them, and they're doing a very good job doing it, because that food was awesome.
It was awesome
for Opal.
So we need that. Maybe I think we might have a slightly different menu for the regional. Most people just want burger and chips. But again, if it's hot, people eat less, don't they? They'll just want more cold drinks.
Yeah.
So that's that. We'll see how that goes. So that's what we've got next week. Big regional, over 100 booked in.
Nice.
It's at Southport, home track. Need a decent score.
3-leg A finals?
No, never.
Okay.
Never. I think my view was made very clear at the last regional rep. It is brought up, but I go, you can have 3-leg A finals just for them, but you won't be having them at Southport. I just don't think that, especially on a long day.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see them at the nationals. I can. That's different. Not at our regionals. If you can have 3-leg A finals for all, do that. It's really good fun. If not, everyone gets the same thing. We've got 100 drivers. We will. Me and Tommy will be at that track gates open at 7:30. Me and Tommy will be there earlier. We have to do all that prep. We have to lay our track out in the morning. We can't leave it out. We can't do it the night before.
Yeah.
So we had some work, a bit of painting and a bit of tidying up and a few other bits being done today. And then it just needs a bit of a quick blow with a industrial leaf blower to just get all the stuff off. And it looks really good like that. So we're all prepped and ready to go. That's all we really need to do for a regional. Make sure the butty man turns up. Get it all done. Eric reckons we'll be over by 5:30.
Nice.
You've got a regional at Swindon?
I do, yeah. There is a Southwest Regional up at Swindon. What are they doing? 4-wheel drive on the Saturday and 2-wheel drive on the Sunday. So it's been made, like we said before, it's been made into two-day events this year. No 4-wheel drive for me. I don't do it at the moment, so it'll point me going up for that. And I'll probably venture on up on Sunday morning. It's a massive drive, that's the thing.
Is it?
The only thing is, it's a huge drive. So it's at least a couple of hours for me from down here, and it's not like a couple of hours of motorway.
Right. Okay.
I'm a distance off the motorway, so it is a pain in the arse to get to most places, but
to our American, Australian and New Zealand listeners, they're going 2 hours, that's down the road, but to us that's a bit of a drive.
Yeah
Okay. All right, well, I'll tell you what, we can talk about that more later, because what we can try and do is try and get somebody on the phone to chat to.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think we should definitely give that a go. Who have we got coming on the show this week?
Well, if it all works, we've got Lee Martin.
You are kidding me.
Apparently not. Apparently my stalking or restraining order doesn't come off telephone calls. So we've got Lee Martin from LMR Racing, Yokomo, Infinity 1.8 and those things. So I'll just try and press a few buttons.
You go for it, mate. You go for it.
We'll see what happens. So at some point, Lee will just go, hello.
Well,
but I've not you know me, mate. I'm.
Yeah, I do know you and your technology skills.
Yeah, and my love of Lee. So
you need to get all of that. Hello?
Hello.
Oh my goodness me! Is that Lee Martin?
That depends what you were saying before.
Well, I was just listening to Aidan announce his love for you.
Yes.
Yeah,
You
but I
know,
knew that anyway.
yeah, but we're more worried about the restraining order that's out there, and how much of this phone call it's going to cover, and
No, fair enough. I will assist with all police inquiries.
Yeah, that's good. It's good as long as it's kept to we're sort of 300 miles apart. It's fine. So Lee, well, we know you're a busy person. So we want to get straight into what people want to hear about. How was your weekend? How was Robin Hood?
Robin Hood was okay, mate. It was hot, that's for sure. And with the heat, it brought out a lot of sand in the track. So actually, the track was a little bit difficult to drive because it was sandy on the outside of the line, and on the line it was super grippy and a little bit bumpy in places. But other than that, came away with some semi-decent results again, so I can't complain.
yeah, it looked awesome. We saw the both of us are big fans of the Murphy videos on YouTube. He's done all of the nationals this year that we've seen, and some of the best racing I've seen. The A finals. So we're massive two-wheel drive guys, me and Aidan. So the two-wheel drive stuff for me was great to watch. We said earlier that the tracks for both of us, Southport and Mendip, seemed like they almost lost grip in the heat of the weekend. Do you think that was sort of a similar thing up at RHR from what you'd normally get up there with our weather?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's pretty true of most AstroTurf tracks. They lose grip as the weather heats up and the sun come out. Purely because it brings out the sand. It's like when the sun beams down, the dust and the Astro dries out a lot, and it gets looser. I think even the best run at Torch for round 2, our fastest run of the day, was literally 10 minutes after it stopped raining, and then the track would get better again. So yeah, that's kind of normal, to be honest, especially with the temperatures we were having. I think the track without sand, it would be not as obvious, but all of our tracks have sand these days. So
Southport has no sand.
okay, fine. Well, I've been there for years, and since they changed the Astro, so we'll see.
Do you know how long I campaigned for to get them to cover that concrete up, the concrete and the tarmac at either end?
I've got to be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed that the concrete on the start of the straight's gone.
Really? Why? Yeah. Why is that?
Why? Because it was just for me, but especially back in the day when it rained and stuff, it was a part of the track where you could really tell the skill of the driver. Because they'd get it a bit sideways, be able to hang on to it right until you got back on the Astro, and that was a section that I just appreciated. Being able to watch people's skill more than anything.
Okay. Yeah, that's a fair comment. It used to drive me mad. I started racing at Southport. I did a sort of couple of seasons up there a little while ago, and I just always found it just to be a massive tyre killer for me. Maybe because I was very new to it and I was just incredibly trigger happy at the time. But it just used to be a massive tyre killer for me, and I think that was a point from a lot of the guys out there, wasn't it, Aidan?
Yeah, I think that's why we looked to change it. We wanted something that, as I said, I want the track to be as good as for me, week in, week out. But I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I'll be doing timekeeping for practices, so not a worries. 8-minute practices for you, Lee. It's not a problem. You just tell me what number, and as soon as they come onto the straight, I'll tell them all to get off.
Well, if I go out in heat 1 and then I don't stop until heat 12, that should be all right?
Yeah, that's fine for me. I've got no problem. The T-shirt does say "I love Lee" on the back of it.
Well, I can see it's actually a profile picture, so I'm happy. Yes,
that's definitely me. So when you turned up to Robin Hood, were you just sat there with your normal Astro setup? Did you make any changes through the day at Robin Hood?
Well, I started with the exact setup that I left there last year with, because my car was super good there last year, so I thought we'll start the same. And it wasn't quite right, to be honest. think the Astro slightly changed over the year. The layout was obviously different, and it just didn't quite feel right. So although I started on a normal setup for me, I tweaked and changed. And actually went back to almost where my Telford setup was from the start of the year.
Okay.
Which again is kind of bumpy, sandy.
Yeah.
Relatively slow speed as well. So basically ended up much closer to that. Trying to find a setup that could keep up with Neil.
Did you change anything between the first and second final? The reason I ask is when I watched the video, you were coming onto where you were coming onto the straight. It looked like I've been up to Robin Hood, and I know that that's quite a distance from the rostrum to see what a 10th scale buggy's doing as it kind of comes around that corner onto the straight. It looked to me like your car was a bit, for want of a better way of putting it, a bit wobbly coming out of that corner onto the straight, and it just looked like Neil had I don't know, it just looked like his car was a bit more settled coming out that corner. He seemed to just edge away coming out of that one every time you went round it. And it was the second round, I was watching for your car doing the same thing, and it didn't do it. So I just wondered if you changed anything in your driving, or if you changed anything on the car itself to stop that, or whether you even felt it.
So yeah, something did change. I know exactly what you mean, and it was just well, as far as I understand, you mean where I was getting onto the straight and he was getting away from me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, my slipper was too loose.
Okay.
So, yeah, basically, although I was using the power, obviously it was slipping its nuts off, and he was getting away, which I only really noticed, to be honest, in that first leg.
Yeah.
So when I pinned it up for the second one, yeah. So I mean, yeah, it was a big. I changed almost something every run, which I try not to do, but I know when it's not quite right or where I need it to be. So yeah, every run it was changing small amounts.
Yeah. And do you find that you're doing, because you do the big competitions. Me and Aidan do club racing, so for us, the checks we do in between rounds are, if we've remembered to brush the buggy off, we look at stuff and make sure everything's screwed together. I mean, what's a European and national champion like Lee Martin doing between rounds? What are you doing between a qualifying? What are you checking on the buggy and looking for?
Well, it really depends how the day's going, as you can imagine. If everything's absolutely singing, then I will do what you do. I'll brush her off, I'll check everything right, and I'll carry on.
Yeah,
brilliant.
If we're still looking for something, or we still feel we can make it better, the first thing I'll do is normally talk with Tom Cockerell.
Yeah.
We'll kind of confer with each other and see which direction we feel we need to go in.
Okay.
And then we'll make small changes, and I'll constantly be. I'm a bit of a thinker, so I'll constantly be staring at the car, hoping it talks back to me, and hoping that I look at it and I notice something that's wrong, or an idea comes to me and I do it. So yeah, I tend to just stare at it for a while.
Okay. You said then you talked to Tom. So did you and Tom then change your car the same way, or did you do one thing and he did another?
Well, if it's practice, so if it's early doors, we'll generally do opposites.
Okay.
Because obviously we only have a couple of runs.
Yeah.
So we try and make the most of our runs. We normally, especially if we're talking tyres, we'll go in different directions, like four-wheel drive, for example. If we're not happy with our original choice of front tyre, he'll go one way, I'll go the other. We'll see whose car was better.
Yeah.
Normally mine. But, so yeah, but in qualifying we tend to work in the same direction. We drive a little different, so we look for different things. I generally need more steering than he does. So although we talk and we try and work stuff out, we might not end up with the same stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
And what did you do for tyres at Robin Hood? What were you running?
Well, it was obviously the first national back on mini spike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So two-wheel drive, I just used cut stagger. The track was a little bit understeery, where it wasn't last year. So that's one thing that was different.
Mm.
And then full drive, I used full drive cut stagger. We started trying darts up the front, we heard that they were working weld spikes on the rear.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoever thought of that idea was on drugs that day, I think.
Okay.
Because me and Neil both walked away after the first practice, like, oh my god, whoever thought this was going to work?
So who did think that worked? Who
Well,
convinced you to try it?
It come from a few locals there, and to be honest, a few of them with certain cars made them work, and
Yeah.
they were fine.
Okay.
Right.
For the majority, it was not going to work at all. I mean, I walked off after the first practice. I think so much steering. I thought my car had broke. Like I thought the rear wheels were missing or something. I had no idea.
Okay.
But when I spoke to Neil, he said exactly the same thing. So I was like, oh, okay, car should be fine. Must be a tyre thing. And then changed tyre, and it was fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, are you and Neil, because, you know, for anybody that's a fan of racing, and I'm sure there are, most of the people that listen to this are pretty big fans, or they wouldn't be listening. Do you and Neil seem to have a really good relationship when you're at the tracks, and obviously you go to some big events and a lot of different countries together racing. I mean, how close is it between you two as far as sort of sharing information is concerned on the track and on the cars and tyres? Because you know you're obviously racing for very big, very opposing teams, but I'm guessing there must be some sort of secrecy as much as there's a friendship there to want to share it.
You know what? It's really weird. I don't think we keep any secrets from each other.
Okay.
Like,
Right. Okay.
very good friends and raced together for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I think we both just respect each other's talents. But the fact that we don't need to keep secrets from each other, I'll quite happily tell him anything, and you know, I assume he quite happily does to me, and especially even his dad, Mick. If I'm lost, he'll help me.
Yeah.
It's not like it's weird when we're off the track. It's not like we're fighting each other, but when we're on the track, it can seem like we're absolute enemies. You know?
Yeah.
But we've obviously massive respect because we'll never like take each other out.
No.
So
No,
Yeah,
it's nice to see that, and I think that is massively evident from any of the races we've seen this year or any other year of you two going at it, because it is, you know, you can guarantee if you two are at a national, you pretty much know the 1 and 2 spots are taken up, and everybody else is fighting for third and going down, and that's just the way it's kind of been for a long time in my eyes, anyway. But
I think we've really pushed each other. Well, I mean, Neil's been really good from a young age, whereas I was kind of a late bloomer, where I kind of lived my teenage years like a proper teenager.
Right. Okay.
Not really worrying too much about RC racing, and more worrying about where I'm going out that night, for example.
Yeah.
No.
So did you start before that? Did you race through your teenage years then, or was it something that you just weren't interested in at all then and picked up much later?
No, well, I always loved it. I mean, well, I started racing quite late, considering the good people around me. I mean, I started at 13.
Okay.
So, you know, Neil, I think, started about 7. So, compared to a lot of people who are fast around me, who started much earlier than what I did. But I mean, it was a father-son thing. Loved going. But I was a pretty good youngster at driving. I mean, my first national A final was 16, I think.
Wow, man.
Okay.
Wow, that must have been cool.
It's cool, but you think like Neil Craig TQ'd a national A final at about 12. So he's making national A finals before he even started racing.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
So although, you know, I had promise, I was also just kind of a normal kid who liked going out and having fun with his friends. So, and especially back then, it wasn't quite serious. You basically went to a national to have fun on a Friday and Saturday night as much as have fun on a Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, okay.
And especially being up at Southport. I mean, Southport was a wicked night out. And that's just what we did. We went out Friday night, had a few drinks, raced Saturday as long as we could see the back of the track, and then we went out Saturday night again.
Yeah.
To me, it wasn't serious at all back then. It was, well, if I made top 20 or if I made A final, well, wicked. But if I didn't, I was still going home and going to work the next day or college or whatever. And it was just fun. I mean, it still is, but it was just different back then. It was just different. So
Yeah, so I'm going to say we're driving Yokesley, so of course there's no other car to drive really.
I suppose if you
So
want, if you want to come second to Craggy, then there's certainly no other car to drive than the Yoke. Yeah.
that's it. So is there anything? How's that gone? Sort of going. You've been with Yoke. How long have you been with Yoke now?
So I joined in 2014, start of
Right.
2014. No, it's going good. Still getting good results as far as I can see. We're progressing. We've got some new stuff coming. With Mayfield and stuff as well. We've now got a really good guy in the States that's progressing stuff over there.
So are you getting sort of involved in the design stuff? Are you getting involved in any of the sort of CAD work, or are you just feeding back to the guys over in the States or the sort of design team your thoughts, and they're sort of working the magic on that?
Yeah, I mean, as a driver, you give input. You say what you think it should be like. We've been working hard on a new project, and I did a lot of stuff with that project late last year, actually. So that's been put into motion. And although ideas change along the line, you have to make sure everything stays on the straight and narrow and head in the direction you want it to, because there's lots of different opinions. But luckily now that with Yokomo, it's a relatively small company, so I'll talk to Shin, who then talks to the boss and the designers. So it's very easy to get the ideas straight to them.
And do you find that they act on it? Do they take some of it and go, no, we think we can do it like this? Or how much of your sort of input do you find is going into the actual buggies themselves?
I think Yokomo are probably one of the companies that react very quick to what we need. There's not many RC companies out there that will change things or update things as quick as they do, to be honest.
Yeah.
You just look back a couple of years ago, look now, the whole of Field Drive is like it is because of the YZ2.
Mm.
Yeah.
That I think I was the first guy to try that car too. When I was in Japan, we got that car as a 3D printed prototype, and I was the first person to put it on the track.
Nice. What were your first thoughts of that prototype when you put it down?
It was funny actually, because Schumacher was getting better, and we could see that's the direction everything was kind of going with this new style tool drive. So weight's not at the back anymore. So we're like, right, how do we do this? And then Shin came up with the idea of having everything low down in the car. And I was like, right, yeah, sounds good. And he actually tried a BMAX 2 with a low gearbox at EOS in a practice, and no one ever saw.
Nice.
Right, okay.
I was like, well, how did that go? And he was like, it was really good. I was like, okay, cool. So, and then like a couple of months later, or maybe a month later, we start seeing these YZ2 designs. And then I got flown over to Japan to do a race.
Yeah.
Just before the race, we went to the factory, and have you seen the B6 glass or whatever?
Yes.
The
SLA one or whatever it was called.
Yeah. So Yokomo have one. Not quite as pretty though. It's like a yellow.
Okay.
It's like someone made it, but they smoked a lot in the room.
Yeah.
So and then this YZ2 in yellow glass or whatever it is was there on the table, and at the end of the week I'd heard we'll have enough 3D printed parts to run it. So I did this race it was on Astro at Yatabe with BMAX 2, and it was just a struggle. Like the track was bumpy and super high grip. The big the sweeper, raised elevated sweeper at the end of the straight, man-made.
Oh, was this the one with the big? It was that before you went onto the straight, and there was like in one corner of it there was a checkered, weird, really tall sort of corner tabletop.
Exactly. So before you went on the straight, it was like a real high wall of death.
Yeah.
And then when you went to the end of the straight, it raised itself up and then kind of went into a fast chicane.
Yeah.
That bit was impossible with a stand-up gearbox car, because the car's going up the hill, it's going light, it's got huge traction, it just wants to flip and hit the fence.
Okay.
So for like 3 days, we struggled with this two-wheel, just trying to flip off the track at every chance it had.
Mm.
And then the race was done, and then on the Monday we were going to test it. And like, I think first lap, I went faster than I had all weekend.
Wow.
And it was like, okay, now we're on something. And then I think after about pack 4, I was going faster than my four-wheel drive was.
Really?
So
Okay.
it's like, okay, right, this is going to work. And, you know, from that car, nothing really changed. The YZ2 got released, and I don't think it really changed much from that original design.
No, when it's right, isn't it? That's the thing. I mean, it's always been, you know, it's a lot of very fast drivers got YZ2s, and we see a lot of them down in the southwest. Dave Belston drove one last year, I think, or the year before, and was just phenomenal with it. And you know, Dave's a very, very good driver anyway. But he just made that car just absolutely fly, and it's for a design that's been around. You know, 2014 doesn't seem like that long ago. But now, you know, things are changing virtually daily. For something to still be around and still be competing like it is, you know something's right with the car. I mean, I could never drive one. I'm a B6 guy. That's just me. But I mean, have you driven a B6? Have you ever picked up the handset? Because I think there was a video on Facebook somewhere. If we can talk over the crazy seagulls that Aiden's got around him.
Yeah, crazy seagulls.
I think there was a video of you. You were in China or Japan or something, and somebody's caught you driving your car. I don't know whether it was your car or whether you were driving someone else's, but I mean, it didn't look like your car going round.
It could have been some. I have no idea. A lot of people get me to try their cars,
Do they?
especially on all the training days that I do.
Yeah.
You know, if someone's got a car, I'll try it for them, see if it's good, see if there's anything wrong with it, and advise on what I would change. So, you know, I've not driven many B6s, I must admit. But no, I mean, you know, it's a good car by all accounts.
So you do training days. I know.
And yesterday.
Yeah, you must. In fact, yeah. I think Lee Chorley was coming down to see you.
He did yesterday.
Yeah, and Chris Cherry from South Lakes was up. They seem to have gone down really well.
Yeah. I mean, they're really good. You know, what I do is just try and cater to what anyone wants. I mean, I've had some guys do a training day and they just want to learn about setups, and I've had some guys that just want to do driving.
Yeah.
This is really just trying to help as much as I can in the time we have. The problem is it's quite a toll on the brain. I'm not going to lie. By the end of the day, people are quite tired.
Yeah.
It's a lot to take in because I'll critique the driving style and change basically your way of thinking. And then it's like you've done something for all of your RC life, and then some idiot's come along and told you to do it different. It's just unfortunate that idiot knows what he's talking about when it comes to driving a car around the track.
Yeah.
So
We've had the training days with Stewart, and he did one with Aiden and a few of the other guys, and I had one up at Bury with him myself. The long time ago. Well, seems like a long time ago now. And there were just things that we didn't do back then. I would never have thought of cleaning a shock seal. That would have stayed in there all year. You know, I would never have even thought of taking the bottom of the shock off and cleaning it until Stu drummed that into me repeatedly, and I do it religiously now, and you know, it does make a difference.
Yeah, sure. I mean, on my days, I try not to do too much about the car unless someone really asks.
Yeah.
Because most people that go want to know why they're not fast.
Yes,
You know,
that's what I want to know.
Ultimately, why you're going. It's like, well, you know, I feel like I'm doing all right, but I'm not. So what's wrong? So, you know, we spend most of the day doing a lot of driving stuff, and then at the end of the day, we work on the setup stuff. In terms of stripping the cars down, you know, you could be there for a whole week if you start talking about all the different things you need to go through. But you're right, if you stay on top of your prep, it makes everything a whole lot easier.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Do you do a lot?
Scale, it's even worse.
Yeah. So, sort of going on to prep, as you mentioned it then. So, are your cars all done? You know, a couple of days before your cars are all rebuilt.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what I have going on as to when they're kind of finished. But I'll never really turn up to a track without my cars done.
What's the earliest you'd think of doing prep on a car before you went to any meeting?
I can't say they're ever really ready, like a couple of weeks in advance. They're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's normally 2 or 3 days before the cars are done. Good. Sometimes I'm still finishing them, the day before I'm going to leave somewhere. Most of the time, to be honest. Just trying to squeeze all the other things in at the same time. Like I've got 8 Scale National this weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm doing my car tomorrow, so it'll be done tomorrow night. And I've got Friday to do some other bits and bobs I need to do.
So will it be like? Is it take my car apart, every single piece, and put it all back together again?
Again, it really depends. Like, yes and no. Like I don't run my race cars too often, practicing or anything. So, I mean, my car, since being fully stripped down and rebuilt, has just done a national. So it's done, 7, 8 runs or whatever. So, it's not going to be wrecked. But what I will do is I'll strip it, I'll change the O-rings, like you say. I will refresh all the oils and just make sure everything's free.
Yeah.
If it's been raining or it's dirty or, I've gone out and used it to test, then it's a full strip down, all pins out, polish up pins, make sure the plastic haven't elongated the holes, take away most of the play that, shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And then just check all the car over, really. I mean, clean it to within an inch of its life.
Yeah.
For personal satisfaction, as well as when you clean a car, you notice if it's broke or not.
Yeah, without a doubt.
It's
Without
not,
a doubt.
about making it look pretty. It's noticing if there's fine hairline cracks or there's something bent. You'll never tell if you just brush it off. So.
Yeah, and that's 99% of the time I have come away from the track and thought, oh God, I don't know what that was. I don't know what was wrong. And then I've got back and I have done a strip down. I have done a full clean of the car, and 9 times out of 10 it'll be, well, that's bent. Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
When did I do that? I can't even remember, anything happening to it. But you've got to keep well on top of it. You've got to keep it dead clean. And I think as well as that kind of knowing anything's wrong with it, when you have stayed on top of it, you are on top of the maintenance. You put the car down on the track, and you've almost got that confidence to go, I know that machine's as good as I can make it be, and I can hammer it around for the next 5 minutes without worrying about it breaking on me.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a bit of an anxiety thing with that as well. If my car's not prepped, it sends me into a small panic, which it sounds retarded, but it's I don't know, it's just one of them things.
No, I get it. I get what you mean.
I really can't sleep properly. Know I've got to do stuff. So it's just a bit of an anxiety thing. I guess maybe I need to see a doctor.
No, if you've got to go and see a doctor for that, I need to go and see one about having to have all my tyres glued up the day before I get to the track.
I don't care about that.
Oh no, I can't stand it in the morning. I can't. The one thing I hate doing is sitting at the bench and gluing tyres when I'm at the track. I want to be out and looking at the track and talking to people. I don't want to be sat at a bench gluing tyres.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You can glue my tyres.
Do you know what? If you gave me your tyres to glue, Lee, I'd glue them for you, mate.
There you go.
Yeah. Expect a parcel.
Yeah,
well,
okay.
Gups will be at Southport.
I will. I'll be helping doing the scrutineering at Southport National.
Cool. I normally have my my little bitch, Mark Jones. He normally helps me with gluing tyres because he has nothing else to do. So.
Good. Well, Mark can have a bit of a break, a bit of a lunch hour maybe. If you're talking about tyres then, what about sort of tyre wear, not just at Robin Hood but at Telford? There's a lot of talk from what we hear that are darts the new great thing? Are they lasting? Are they dropping off?
Basically, people, Lee, I'll be blunt because Aidan won't. People are pissed off that tyres don't seem to last more than one run. I mean, are you guys finding that? Are you changing tyres every run for a national? Because that to me is like just... It's crazy how much money you've got to throw at the back end of a 10th scale buggy to realistically compete with other people that are doing the same thing.
Okay.
How are you guys getting on with it?
Yeah, you know what? It's Yeah, it is a bit of an issue, especially with the dart. Like, I think the dart tire, it lasts quite a long time.
Mm.
The problem is it's not fast for a long time.
Mm.
So you can drive around a track. So if you go to a club day, you'll be able to run them for a good few runs, even all the day, and they'll be fine. They will get slower, but you're not going to suffer tremendously.
Yeah.
But if you're at national, and especially if you're racing, the likes of the top drivers in the country, the drop off on the dart tire and even the mini spike tire is huge.
Yeah.
And it's not all the tyre's fault. We could just slag Schumacher off and say, this tyre doesn't last long enough. But that's the same tyre. It's been around forever. It's just the cars have changed now, and they use the tyre a lot faster than what they used to.
Yeah.
So you say that the lay down, because I'm an idiot. The actual all these 3-gear lay down cars wear a tyre more than an X6 did or B4.
The gearboxes are much more aggressive, aren't they? Those 3-gear laydowns are really direct, especially with a gear diff in them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's direct. Ultimately, you don't have as much weight over the rear, so the tyre is going to wheel spin more.
Mm.
And because you actually don't have as much grip, I mean, we're taking, we're lowering our centre of gravity. We're effectively taking grip away to make the cars faster. Because you don't have as much grip, the tyre wheel spins, and it needs the tyre more. Whereas you could get away with a used tyre before because you had lots of grip. Now, it's at the limit, and you need that to be fresh to make it fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Full drive has been exactly the same on darts. On spikes last weekend at Robin Hood, it wasn't as bad. You could do 2 runs.
Okay.
And then I ran the same front tyre, the full drive stagger. I ran that the whole race. I didn't change it.
Mm.
But with darts, a la Torch, for example, after 4 minutes they were going off.
Wow.
And that's crazy on a 4-wheel because, full drive is normally fine with grip.
Yeah.
So literally, for 4 minutes at Torch, you would drop in like half a second a lap.
What do you think was different at Torch then compared to, Robin Hood and...
Well, Robin Hood, we use spikes and staggers. So, a different tyre. It wasn't as crucial for it to be fresh.
So what the difference between Torch and Telford then?
Telford was a set run.
Was it?
So no difference. It was slightly more. I mean, to be honest, Telford was was mine and Neil's first time using darts, basically.
Okay.
Really? Okay.
We don't really get time to do much club racing, and darts. I didn't have any old ones to use when I went testing. So I didn't really use any before because we do a lot of EOS stuff. We didn't think it'd be too bad anyway.
Yeah.
So at Telford, I guess we just weren't really sure. The track was a little bit of a slower layout where you didn't really notice the drop off. The Torch, you could really feel the car and you could feel it drop off.
Okay.
So no, I'm not 100% sure on the dart tyre yet. I think it feels good, and I think if you were Schumacher, you'd look at it and you'd do the same thing. Okay, let's make a bigger pin. The pin seems to have a good wear.
Yeah.
It seemed like the right thing to do. Whether it's kind of surprised them on how quick it loses its pace. I wouldn't say wear because wear is not really fair because it does last quite a while. It just
Yeah.
I think that fits in what sort of I certainly see. That I just think, especially at Southport, darts just work all day. And it's only they sort of, when you speak to, I'm going to say the quick guys that I've seen, Chris Everson, Chicky Taylor, those guys who are sitting there going, no, we can feel it, Aidan. We can feel that doesn't drop off during a run, but the next run you'd feel it. Again, we don't have that issue's not really at Southport because darts aren't a tyre on our list. You're back to mini spikes again.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'd say a similar sort of thing. For me, I used them last weekend, and two runs is probably the absolute limit you want to go at Mendip. Mendip's a very small technical track anyway, so you're not putting that high speed kind of pressure on them like you would at some tracks, but there's a lot of acceleration and braking. So, you get two 2 at the most out of them. But on a day's practice, I mean, I've run 5, 6 sets of lipos through a set of darts and still kept them on the car for the next time I've practiced with them, because they have got that element of grip to them for a long time. And I don't know, you don't necessarily notice it drop off lap to lap, but once they've got past that certain point, they are gone as far as race pace is concerned, and that is sadly between 5 and 10 minutes of runtime, which I just I don't know. I don't know whether the answer is a slightly harder tyre or a slightly, like you say, a slightly bigger spike again than the one that's on the dart now. I'm not a tyre sort of designer or guru, but I would like to see something that lasts a bit longer, that makes it a bit less of a pricey game to sort of compete with at a top level for longer.
Yeah.
Well, Schumacher obviously come up with something, because they've got this new cactus tyre.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't even know what it is, which is unlike me. Normally I find that stuff out. I have no idea kind of what's that's going to look like. Maybe it'll work on Astro, maybe it won't. I have no idea. So they're obviously, because EOS, people are complaining a little bit about tyre wear as well.
Okay. And what other what plans have you got for this year? We've got you went to the Euros warm up, which I assume you're going to Euros. The Worlds is this year.
Yep. Euros, Worlds, and then 8 scale stuff. Got a lot of that to do as well. Right.
But we were talking the other week when we were watching some of the coverage we saw from the Euro warm up. What's that all about? Do we learn a lot going to the track before the actual Euros?
Yeah, I think you do. You have to go, really. You learn the track, you learn the surface, as much as you can. It might be different weather and it might change a little bit, but you've got a good idea before you go. You get your car in about the right place. It can never be perfect, because it might be different weather. It might change a little bit, but you'll know you're starting in kind of the right area. You also learn the layout, because they're not really going to change anything. They might change a few little jumps, but generally they stay pretty much the same. You're not fighting it for the first 4 runs and learning everything.
What did you think of the layout?
I thought it was pretty good. It was you looked at it initially and just thought it was a load of hairpins and straights.
Oh, I was going to say that.
But it worked. It worked really well. Like, I think everyone was pleasantly surprised on how it drove compared to what everyone thought it was going to be like. So I thought it was quite good.
And was it a good kind of British group going over there, all sort of sitting together, working, trying to sort it out?
What do you mean? Sorry.
Who went with you? Who else was there?
Okay. So Neil was there. That was the only other Brit, I think. Me, Shin. Shin came over for it. So, and then Neil and Mick were there as well.
Malin was there, obviously, and there were a few drivers there that I recognised. But was there anybody there that surprised you on the pace that they had, that you hadn't heard of before? Anybody sort of up and coming that we should be keeping an eye out for?
Not particularly, to be honest. I mean, the guys that were there have been evident in the scene for a while and knew most of them. There was no real surprises, to be honest.
So will there be a World warm up? Will you go to that?
Apparently not. Yeah, I've heard there's not going to be a World's warm up. It's going to be a dirt track.
Is it? Okay.
It's about all we know about it. I know it's an 8 scale track at the moment, and they're going to shortly rebuild it into a 10 scale one. It's being helped by the government. That's about as much as I know. I only found out I knew where it was, but I didn't really know where it was geographically up until about a week ago.
Okay. So you expecting some sort of big show for this one then, if the government are doing it?
Yeah, I mean, the Chinese government are always quite good at backing stuff like this.
Yeah.
Apparently, they did a really good job for the Touring Car Worlds last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they put the finance behind it, and they get it to work. Apparently, some of the places people go, like the World Touring Car Worlds last year, the event itself was really good.
Yeah.
Just the area and stuff wasn't amazing. But,
and of course it was touring cars.
no, exactly. 4 and 8.
Yeah. Let's never talk about them. And then I think you said you've got a 1/8 national coming up.
Yeah, 1/8 this weekend at Hearts. So that should be good. Nice dirt track. Weather's looking okay. So.
What car are you going to run?
You know, I was deciding today. I'm going to run the hot bodies again.
Right.
I was going to run a Kojo,
Mm-hmm.
but it just needs a few too many parts to get it up to where I want it to be. So I think to get a race one ready, I'm going to have to buy a new kit, most likely.
Right.
So I think I'll run the hot bodies purely because it needs slightly less work to get it ready, and I can get parts delivered tomorrow. Whereas I think I might have had to wait a little bit longer for the Kojo parts. So
Right, okay.
purely
Because
on the basis that I can get the stuff I need.
Yeah. So because you've sort of swapped, chopped and changed, you've signed for Infinity is that what it's called, Infinity?
Yep, Infinity.
To do your 1/8, but they haven't actually got a 1/8 car out.
Nope.
Is one coming soon?
Yeah, I mean that's my job. That's why I signed for them. We are in the middle of working it all out and producing our own car.
Okay, so what's going to be the first car that we see from Infinity? Is it going to be a 10th, an 8th, or is it going to be what's going to be the first thing that Infinity are going to bust onto the scene?
Well, you've already missed that boat because they have 2 almost free cars out now. So they started in Nitro on road.
Yeah.
Right.
So they have the Ape Scale on road, which has been out for a little while. They had a temp scale on road prototype. I'm not sure if they released it yet.
Okay.
Then they've just released the 1 temp touring car,
Right.
electric car, which obviously Mark Reinhardt's using.
Yeah.
And Nakito and Akio, and Gillies, and all them good guys. So they just released that. Sold out of the first batch straight away.
Yeah.
So basically, as that touring car project has completed, and kits are flying out the door, now the Ape Scale off road starts.
Okay. And are they going to look into the 10th scale off road as well, or are they just sticking with the 8th scale stuff for now?
That I'm not sure. They might contract with Yokomo. So we haven't really discussed the 10th scale stuff. It was purely 8th scale, and it's probably going to be at least a year until we have a car that's ready for market. So,
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair
So
enough.
is that dealing with a similar sized company to Yokomo? You think that Yokomo react really quickly. Are you enjoying your time with Infinity?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's been a little bit backburnery because the touring car project's kind of taken over. But now that seems to have finished, we should start moving a bit quicker now. So Infinity are a new company, so they're still kind of finding their feet on how everything kind of works. Because they have a lot of drivers now, and everything's going in the right directions. They're just obviously trying to keep control of the situation. So it's a company that's growing, and it's good to be in early, and I can really see Infinity being one of the major brands in the future. So it's going to be really good.
Okay. Well, that is a big claim with some of the names that are out there. But I think if anybody's out there, anybody's word's going to be taken for it, it's probably going to be yours, isn't it? So I will put all of my money into Infinity shares, and if it doesn't work out, Lee, are you gonna back that up for me? Are you?
Yeah, that's no problem at all. I mean, to be honest, you just look at the touring car project. A few thought it might not take off, and they've actually produced a really good car.
Yeah.
They've got drivers to make it happen. They've got the distributors in all the right places. And, apparently, everyone's been super impressed. So
good.
With the basics they have and the company structure as it is already, I think it's already a success, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah, I mean it's the sport has been massively dominated by 3 or 4 brands. It would be great, to see a few more start to come through and really pushing the top boys to sort of bring their game up as well, because it's
in Ape Scale we have a lot of brands. But in temp scale, it's always kind of stayed to the certain few. So we'll see what happens on that one. But yeah, in ape scale we've got quite a lot of brands, but there's very few really good ones. So
Okay.
hopefully we'll push ourselves into that bracket.
Okay.
I know. I'm following this stuff on Facebook because there's pictures of you. So clearly, I follow all these pictures on Facebook, and I see the other drivers that Infinity have gone and got, and they've seen. They've got Bart Reinhard. They've got what looks like every Chinese and Japanese toy car driver there is to work for them. It seems like a good group of people.
I mean, they basically took up the reins where Tamiya left. They took most of the Tamiya drivers. They got Mark, they got Nato, they got Kyo. Yilliz, even though he he did go straight from Tamiya. As well as a few mixture of other good drivers like Timu, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And then their ape scale on-road guys are all really good. Mostly Italians because that's
Okay.
yeah, they're all really good. So they have a ton of good brains in the company. So
Yeah.
it's only gonna hopefully be good.
Yeah, well, we will be keeping an eye on them for sure. I mean, me and Aidan, me especially, I'm not a massive on-road guy, so I don't know the names of the guys that you're saying in the on-road seed. I wish I did, but I'm even fresher to this than you are. I've only been doing it for 5 or 6 years now. So there's so much more to it than you think. It's when you first get into this hobby, it seems like a little local track with a few lads playing with toy cars, and you go, "Oh, this is great," and then you go, "Oh my God, this is everywhere! It's absolutely everywhere. There's loads of people doing it." But
A mini universe, right?
yeah, it's crazy. I mean,
You definitely people have delivered parcels to me, and then I've worn like a racing shirt, and I've got one of them cars at home.
yeah.
I used to race down at here, or Swindon, or Slough, or
and you do. You find people from all over the place that will pick up on it. But yeah, I mean that was always a massive draw to me. But I mean coming back to the UK and our sort of scene, for us over here, we've got a big Oopal meeting coming up. I know you've done you guys are sort of BRCA national lot, but for us and the I suppose a big section of the club races, our little national is the Oopal series. Are we ever going to see you grace us at one of the Oopal events?
I mean, I've done the International before.
Yeah, you're not doing it this year, and I'm up there this year, Lee.
Well, my next free weekend is October.
Okay.
So that's how mental my schedule is.
Okay, so us three can just make plans for that weekend. That's it.
Yeah.
We'll just go out all weekend, spend some time together.
Yeah, that's fine. Candlelit dinner and stuff.
That's it. We'll start off on settle. We'll move on to
You're
drive.
paying though, right? You're paying for dinner.
Hey,
Aidan pays dinner. Yeah.
Yeah. I should be all right for that. We can go to McDonald's.
Yeah, that's fine. I only need a Happy Meal.
That's the greatest thing. And again, I'm going to say one of the things that I got a yoke because when they first came out, they were. To be honest, it wasn't you were doing really well on the AOS with it. It was I saw other guys of sort of my standards getting a yoke at Bury and at Southport and doing really well. And then it was that after that point that I realised that okay, you can ask Lee Martin questions, and Lee Martin does answer questions. And I know you just laughed then, but sometimes guys like us struggle to find some of the answers. What you? I know you're very approachable, always there, help anyone you can. Even my idiot questions is which way round does the screw go in the ball diff? As you're sat in an EOS, you're answering my things. But what do you think other people could do to sort of help the drivers? There's a strong LMR team, and sometimes that doesn't seem to be spread around some of the other teams.
Yeah, I don't know. It's over the years I've been trying to find the best ways to assist people, and initially from just trying to help the companies that help me. Right? Okay, how can I make this car seem more desirable, help as many people as I can, feel like they're getting good support and this and that. So I don't know why other teams don't do it. I mean, some do, some don't. I don't know. I don't know. My thing is, people always say they want help and support, so I always try and offer as much as I can. Anyone can send me a message and I'll try and reply. Sometimes a bit bluntly, but you don't understand the message I have in a day that I have to reply to. So, yeah, I mean, I just think if you're approachable and you're an honest person, eventually people will respect that and maybe follow you in your decisions and choices you make.
Yeah, I've always found you to be an approachable guy from the brief few messages that we've had over the last, I don't know, 12 months or so that I started speaking to you, and I've not really asked you anything sort of technical. It's all been promo stuff from me, I think, really, that we've spoken about, or training days that I've never got round to actually booking up with you yet.
Well, I have a training booked up for Mendip.
You've got one booked up for Mendip?
Yeah, Martin Owen sorted it out to help
nice.
kids go there or something.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. When's that for?
Let's have a look in my diary, see when it was booked. Whether he's forgot about it or not, I have no idea. But he did book it in.
We'll remind you next week when Martin comes on.
See, now I remember at the regionals last year, Martin saying, "Oh well, there's probably going to be a training day for the juniors at the end of the year." Now this was last year. I didn't hear him mention it this year.
Okay, well it's booked in for the 15th of August.
Nice. Okay.
Right.
Okay, I'll make sure that I am just funnily enough at Mendip on the 15th of August with Aidan.
Yep. There you go. See, so yeah, I mean, I'll check with Martin, but that's when he's booked it in for.
I think I don't want to speak bad about it. I think sometimes the issues regarding getting help is because we are boys, and sometimes it's difficult. You think, well, I don't want to bother them, and you
want to ask directions, right?
Yeah, that kind
Read
of thing.
Read the instructions.
Yeah, I'm going to try and figure it out myself, or I don't think sometimes people do follow the wrong people, or maybe even some people think they know it, and because they're big loud mouths, people follow it and they lead them down different paths. There's many different ways of solving an RC issue, from the front or the back or the side of the cars.
So, do you find yourself sitting there reading some of the questions and not mentioning any names or anything like that, but do you find yourself going, "Oh man, go and look on YouTube"? Just pick up your phone and look on Google, and there's a million answers out there, because it's there, isn't it? It's in your hand, it's in your pocket all the time. The answers are there if you want them.
Yeah, it's true, but sometimes you just want to ask someone and get a direct answer. I'm a sucker for myself. I don't want to look on Google when I ask someone, they're going to give me a truthful answer. You know what Google's like? Oh, I've got a spot on my arm. Oh, okay, yeah, you've got meningitis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's just the same in RC, really. There's so many answers out there. Who do you choose to believe? So,
yeah.
If you go something that you think you might trust the answer to. The best one's when people ask me, I give the answer, and then they argue about it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. For example, how do you take steering away from the car? I don't know, stiffen your front shoulder. Oh yeah, but that doesn't work. That does this and this does that. Like, okay, well don't ask me if you know it.
So I sometimes mention there was a thread on Opel, and someone was asking that actual very question regarding shims on the Ackerman plate and what it does to steering.
Sure.
And someone was saying you add them to calm them, you take them away, and people are arguing, and then they bring up and go, I can remember the car, and the other goes, but it's the other way in a Kyo show. And someone said, well, yeah, because the bar goes the other way. And someone just, Alan, the Scottish fella, came on and just went, look, I've just asked Lee. Lee says it does that. I've tried it. It does that. There's sometimes on the internet, people do tend to argue. So do you find maybe that's why sometimes the questions aren't answered as quickly from all drivers on an open forum? And maybe we've seen a bit of a movement towards sort of smallish groups on Facebook and pages and things along those lines. So you're always getting sort of the right, not you're always giving the right answers, but you've got a group of people who are sort of willing to learn. and not just arguing.
Yeah, I mean, the whole forum thing, I mean, I stopped looking at forums a few years ago because it just used to wind me up in the end. I try not to post because whenever you post, someone always wants to try and pick it or argue with you or do something. I think it has moved much more towards kind of Facebook and stuff like that, where you can just talk to people directly. You'll get an answer generally. I mean, I remember the Ackerman question.
No, right.
The thing is with everything that I give advice, it's from my own experience. I haven't read a manual that tells me it does this. I haven't gone to college and studied it. I've tried it. I've gone out. I've tried it. It's done that. That's what I think it's done. That's from my experience. I had someone talk to me about that Ackerman thing only about a month ago, who, by all accounts, was a very good engineer. He was saying that the guy he was American, I think, and he said that the guy at his local track said that it did this, which was the opposite to what I thought. And I said to him, "Oh, well, I think it does this." And then he broke it down to me in this engineering point of view, why he agrees with me. So that was pretty cool that this guy, obviously very intelligent, he was like, I agree with you, it should do this and this and this and this because of this and this and this. And then next day went to track and tried it and confirmed what I thought was true. So without me never looking at it from an engineering point of view, purely from experience, that we both came up with the same answer, completely different around it. So well,
that just goes to show, well, if you can spend the time at the track to test the different things and try different things out, it does pay off in the long run. And one thing that Stu always said to me was, as a club level racer, you're always looking for that easy button to push, the one on the tranny that you top guys push to make you go 10 seconds a lap quicker than us. You're always looking for that easy button or that easy fix, or is it it was the banana, I didn't put one of them on, that's why I'm a lap down on everybody. You're always looking for that, but Stu always says track time, test different stuff, and just keep doing the laps, just keep going and keep going and keep going, because there's no substitute for practice and knowing your car and knowing what it's going to do. And also, the other side of it is just picking that person who you do trust, like you say, to get your advice from, and someone you can rely on that you know is going to give you an answer you can rely on to be the right thing and that's going to do something to help you.
I mean, I had a few of them people when I was growing up, a few people that I trusted the answer of, and that's what I stuck to. I just asked them questions.
Who were they? Who were your gurus when you were growing up then?
You know what? I'd always trust the answers of Richard Cree and Richard Barton. There you go. You don't even know him, do you?
Nope. No, I don't know. my blankness after that must have said volumes.
Richard Barton still races. He just started doing nationals again. I think he's still the only guy to ever win a touring car national and an off-road national in the same year.
Right.
Yeah, he was very much a guy that spoke from experience. From what I could tell, he was good driver, and his knowledge came from his experience.
Yeah.
Richard Cree, they were both really good friends, Rich Cree and Rich Barton. He was from the absolute other end of the spectrum. Well, he was extremely talented at driving still, but he was also a hugely good engineer, and at the moment he works for McLaren. And he would always give me the answer, from an engineering point of view.
Yeah.
So they're the two guys that I actually went to for advice when I was a little bit lost.
Okay, so it wasn't that you were secretly getting tips from Mick Cragg behind Neil's back or anything then?
Always helps. He's the type of guy that will help anyone anyway. Yeah. And he's very practical as well. He'll chuck the car on the table, mess about with it, and find stuff that you wouldn't even think about. So, he was good too. But when I was younger, I did more regional stuff, and Mick lives miles away from me, so I didn't see him very often.
Yeah.
Okay. So next time you see Mick, and it might be this weekend.
It will be.
You want to just pick up his phone and see if he's got Skype on it.
And Neil as well. And Neil,
Yeah.
I know he's read my
Well,
Facebook
zero
messages to him.
with Neil. You haven't got a chance. He's not he's not a technology type guy. He'll just want to chill out, and I'll ask him for you. But
That would be great. That would
I
be
think
great.
he's the type of guy who finishes work and just wants to chill out with his missus.
Yeah.
Don't want to look.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah,
even-
So under the thumb is what you're saying.
No. He just, I'll send him a message and then he'll look at it like 3 hours later. Whereas some people just attach to their phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually muted you on Facebook now, Lee. So then, as soon as the message comes up, I don't immediately jump up and go, "Yes, thanks, cheers, bye." So it doesn't look as stalkery. But
Kind of is.
yeah, it's fine. Me and Kenny. Kenny's taken a lot of the local stalking away from me.
Yeah, no. Kenny's pretty good. Although he's been very quiet lately. Maybe you've been using the same technique. It's it's what's that?
He goes. You want?
Fondness. What the hell? What am I trying to say?
I've got no idea.
Absence makes the heart fond. Right?
No, I know Kenny's heavily into his Tamiya retro racing at the moment, so maybe he's more focused on that. But if I need your bins going through or anything along those lines, he does all that, and then he distributes that sort of stuff amongst all the Lee fans that there are.
So why isn't Kenny on here as well then?
Well, we'll get Kenny on, but as I've said before, I like to keep you to myself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? In fact, I think some people said about 6 months ago, "You've not spoken to Liam." Go, well, I don't like to talk about it. It's my Lee's special time. I don't like to be in the. I was talking to Felix and sort of saying, "Well, you just go in the group chat, it'll be fine." I'm going, "Well, no," but then it'll look a bit obvious of how great you are and how helpful you have been to me. But also, you've been helpful to us because you've come on. I know you're a busy guy, and I know you've got other things that you need to do and be prepped for things. So I'd just like to bring it to an end there and say, but thanks. It's been brilliant. We'd love to have you on again. Clearly, hopefully, it's not been too painful.
No, it's been fun. I'll come on again whenever. It doesn't matter. I'm always here. One thing I will say is I am off to Japan next week.
Brilliant.
Up to Yokomo. So, going there with Mayfield, doing the Japanese nationals. So you never know what kind of things could pop up when we're there. Maybe some new stuff.
Well, just put a few extra in your pocket.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
also, check your phone.
Check my phone.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm checking my phone. Okay.
I'm not. Clearly, this is a Yokomo thing, and being associated, I'm not in this circle of what's going on. So I'll.
I have no idea what's going on there either. Okay. Oh no, actually, that's quite spookily. Lee's just added me to the LMR Yokomo chat.
So, there you go.
I'll be leaving that straight away. We'll sort that out. But okay, Lee, thanks very much for your time. We'll catch up again.
Lee, it's been a pleasure to meet you, mate. Thank you very, very much for coming on. And I've got a million more questions I could have asked you, and we'll definitely get you back on. And what I'll do is I'll just mute Aidan so that I can actually get some questions over to you about next time. But fantastic to meet you. Thanks very much for your time, and we'll look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Take care and keep racing.
Take it easy,
Cheers,
buddy.
mate.
Cheers, Lee.
Thanks a lot. Bye. Wow, how cool was that?
Oh yeah, mate. What an awesome hour of chatting to possibly the most famous RC superstar that there is at the moment. Massive thanks, Lee. Really appreciate your time. We know you are super busy, and we know you've got a massively full calendar, and not only that, a personal life as well to take care of. So thank you so much for your time. It was a massive pleasure to speak to you, and me and Aidan will I'm sure reminisce over tonight for quite some time to come.
Yeah, the amount of times I'll be at the regional going, wow, what Lee said was,
yeah,
to me, yeah, there'll be a lot of that. We're all big fans. He's really good in 110. He's got loads on. Hopefully, well, I'm sure we will catch up with Lee again. Maybe after the next national, something along those lines. Find out what happens at the Euros and the Worlds.
Yeah, and I think for me personally, I really found it interesting to get a chance to ask somebody of Lee's driving standard and level about the big issue at the moment, which is the tyre game, and I found that really interesting just to get his input on that, and that the top guys are finding the same thing. The wear rates are no different for them than they are for us. And his explanation for it was really good. I think the difference in the cars now compared to what we were racing when we used to race the B4s and the B4.1s and things like that, where, like you rightly said, you'd be looking at a set of tyres every 3-4 weeks at the level we were racing at then, and you'd still have loads of grip up at Southport.
You would. I'm sure I've told this story before, that I can remember driving home from Southport one week and talking to Tommy in the car as he drove me home and say, do you know what, Tommy, this is good, but I'm going to have to change my tyres every 2 weeks. and it was like I just shit in his car. He's going, what are you talking about? What craziness is that? And I'm like, no, Tommy, this is how serious it's getting now. I think the tyres I've got on today, I'm going to run them. I've run them today. I'm going to run them next week, and then I'm going to cut them off straight away.
Yeah, Tommy probably went home and prayed for you that night.
He probably did.
Lord, please take care of Aidan. He said he's going to be using at least one set of tyres every 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
And I think it's just too much. I think the stress of racing's got to him. Please make him better.
And so now where we're, again, Lee said the words, for us lot, probably going to, Darty's going to work all day.
Yeah, at a club level, I'd almost agree with him. Almost. Like I said last weekend for us, the grip level was just gone. It gone past that point. It's that Astro goes through some weird stages from when it's really, really wet and all the water has washed everything away apart from the really soaked in stuff, and all of that grease is kind of lifted and gone, and then the water kind of starts to go, and you get that slimy layer where you've got some of the oils and stuff that have risen to the top where the water's gone down, and then once that kind of oily layer completely dries out, it goes tacky, and that's when you get that super, super grippy level Astro that everybody seems to crave. But then there's another sort of stage past that, and it's the same for you guys at Southport, from what you were saying earlier, and it's the same for us down here. It seems from Lee was saying it's the same on all Astro tracks that you go to. And once it gets to a certain heat level, and that track has dried out to a certain point, it either gets a sandy layer on top because so much is getting dragged out, a dusty layer on top, or I think me and you discussed it earlier this week, that either that happens or the Astro, maybe the heat that gets in it changes slightly the consistency or the abrasiveness or the I don't know how
it goes softer.
Yeah, maybe.
And so the spike is not gripping as something as tough. It can't drag that grip out. So I can see everyone. Okay, I can see what it's like for nationals. But to be honest, national guys change their tyres. What they do, one run on national tyres, and they've done that for the last few years.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'd be really interested, and one question I really wanted to ask Lee tonight was how often he changes the car completely for a new car.
Yeah.
Is he turning up every... Because, I mean, I've heard rumours over the time that I've been involved in RC that the top world's drivers and the Euros drivers get a brand new car every 6 or 7 races and will rebuild it from a new kit. I don't know how true that is. I think that sounds very excessive, considering how long, my buggy has lasted a good year, and other than change some of the wear and tear bits on it, bearing, the odd bearing here and there, some of the drive system, it's all original parts on it, apart from obviously the blue blingy bits that I've put on there. But I'd be really interested to see how often these guys go through a kit, because that's the other thing. A brand spanking new kit, everything's nice and tight and firm.
Yeah.
Nothing's slopping all over the place. You're not changing your camber on your wheel by 2 or 3 degrees because you've got slop in your arms and your turnbuckles and things like that. So there is clearly a difference in that. But I think to get a scale of how good a car is over time, I'd like to know how many cars a season, let's say, to narrow it down to a period of time. We could say over a year, but I'd say over a summer season.
Yeah.
How many cars are they using? Are they using 3? Are they just using 1? I don't know. I'd like to find that out.
He did say, what he does do is, when he does rebuild his car, he polishes his hinge pins and checks. He seems to say, whether the holes changed.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems to be like he does change his front arms and rear arms on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Maybe that's as far as it goes, or whether it's a whole new kit.
That's what I mean.
Pods don't wear out, do they?
No. But at what point does he go, okay, I've raced that one for this long now. I know that is probably going to be slightly out of shape, even though without putting it on some special machine, I'm never going to be able to see it. I'll put that there. Or I had a big crash at this national. I might not be able to tell that such and such is bent or broke or split or whatever. Like I said, you go through a cleaning regime, you can really see what's, if you split the car down that much, you get to see everything and whether there are any splits or anything. But I don't know, some things is everything visible to the naked eye that would make a difference to the car.
Right, okay.
Has he got that much experience to go, I crashed that at the end of the straight of Robin Hood at 45 and 50 miles an hour, whatever they're doing, those guys. I know that's not going to be right when I rebuild it next time. I may as well save myself some time, put that car to one side, take any spares off that are good, shocks, whatever, and just rebuild myself a new kit.
We'll ask him next time he's on.
We will, next time.
Well, you can ask him, and I'll interrupt you, or I'll interrupt Lee as he's talking.
Well, don't forget, we have sort of, in our minds, penciled in a date when we're going to see Lee, and that's the second weekend in October.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
so don't forget, Lee, we've booked that weekend with you, and Aidan said he'd take you out for dinner and everything else that you pay for. So great weekend for me.
Fun. Yeah, we'll book a hotel. Yeah, if we could stay in his garage, maybe. But Kenny says that's not very warm at night. So we'll book a hotel and spend the weekend with Lee.
Yeah. The other thing I want to know is what track he's looking forward to, or what track he's been looking forward to racing this year on the 10th national circuit. Like I said, at the end. A million questions we could have sat there and asked him, I think, tonight. But like I said, busy guy. So what have we got coming up? I haven't spoken to you about the regional up at Swindon, have I?
No.
No, I know. The thing is, with the Swindon track, it's the layout options aren't right. It's not just a single layout. Okay, let's get that clear. There are options there that they can change the track around. They can use certain bits in different ways. They can run over obstacles in different directions. But I do think Swindon is going to be one of those tracks where the locals do incredibly well. It's a long way away for a lot of the guys down this end, so you're not going to get many of them going up for a practice round in between.
Mm-hmm. You have been before though, haven't you?
Yeah, I went up for their opening event on the 10th track, and I think really this year is going to be the most even it will be at Swindon for a regional or for a club event. I think by next year you're going to have some guys up there that will be flying round that Swindon track when the sand comes out of it a bit more, when the grip's just that sort of, you know what it goes like when the sand's been dragged out and that grip level really starts to come up. You know, I'm sure there are going to be guys at Swindon who will be matching, you know, the top drivers in our region. It maybe not so much at some of the other tracks if they do regionals elsewhere, but I think Swindon especially, just because there are certain sections of that track which are never going to change.
Yeah.
Or certain, okay, I say never going to change. They're always going to run the same way, and until track work is done to put a jump in or rebank a corner or something, they're always going to be that same corner. So once you've got your line in there, and you know all the bumps and the bits and bobs on there, like very very much like going to Mendip or Southport or Robin Hood. If you're a local, you're going to have an advantage at any competition. I do think with the, I want to say limited, but I think that's maybe a bit of a harsh word. With the limited amount of layout options they've got, I think in particular Swindon is going to be one of those locals tracks, and where the local guys are going to do phenomenally well at that track in particular.
Okay.
So very very much like if you go to Barrow and you race on grass.
Yeah.
And I know Barrow have probably got some great guys that race on Astro as well.
Well, actually, they are pretty good, but Barrow have just built themselves an Astro track.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So again, they might be in something similar. I think that their setup's going to look a lot like Swindon, you know, with nailed, you know, it's a flat bit of Astro,
yeah,
or you know, a flat square, and they nailed down piping.
Yeah, yeah.
I think they have actually used smaller piping that they might have used elsewhere. So it's not as big because we have.
I think Swindon's put their. I think that now they've had some feedback about the piping. I think they have changed all of the bits where the cars were going behind and getting hidden. So I think the sort of extremities of the track on the far ends are still those big 4-inch round bits of sort of almost that underground drainage pipe that you get are all around the edge of the track. But anything that would hide a car, I think now has been changed to a smaller
land drain stuff.
Yeah, smaller pipe. So that should be good. That should make it much easier to keep an eye on things all the time. And for me, when I went up there last time, my controller was still knackered.
Oh right, yeah, you were having problems there, weren't you?
Yeah. I think that was the last weekend that I used it. I think after that I got the KO.
Right. Okay. How have you found that?
Amazing.
How have you found the change from, you know, if someone says what I want to get a good radio, you just say you either buy a KO4 or Sanwa.
Yeah.
And you've actually gone from the Sanwa that you had to a KO4.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Have you enjoyed it? Get used to it quickly?
Yes, phenomenal controller. I mean, it's as good as, if not better in some ways than the Sanwa, and the Sanwa compared to the KO is as good as the KO, if not better in some ways.
Right.
Now, it's a very different feel to the car with the KO than it was with the Sanwa. Both very direct, both incredibly responsive. And I think because of the speed of the Sanwa, the Z that I had, I don't think it was such a transition to come over to the KO.
Right, okay.
Because that is just as equally as fast as the Sanwa was, and that was a shock to the system to get used to how quickly everything was reacting to my thumb movements. I found it that the biggest thing for me was getting used to the length of the sticks on the KO. I know that
Right, okay.
you got to remember, everybody over in the States now, or probably 98% of the people listening in the States or anywhere outside of the UK are going sticks.
yeah.
You know, it's just what I grew up with, what I got used to using as I grew up, and I'm just faster and more consistent with them. I can drive a wheel. I just prefer sticks. That's just me.
Yeah, I can't even drive a wheel.
And I can drive a wheel, competitively drive with a wheel. I'm just
you
that
used to
bit
have a
quicker.
wheel, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I remember at one point you said, "Do you want to have a go at my car?" when you first started. I literally went, "I can't help you. I can't help you. It's a wheel. I can't drive those things."
And that was a ready-to-run Team Associated reel from a B4.1 ready-to-run. I had that for ages.
Yeah.
Ages. I got quite good with that controller. That was a good bit of kit. Oh, I do miss that. But no, I'm just more consistent and faster with the set of sticks. So
Yeah.
But the throw on the sticks is a lot longer. The throw on the steering and the brake on the Sanwa, when you pull down, is incredibly short. It's such a short drag. You're on full brake almost straight away.
Right. Okay.
To get a similar feel with the KO, my initial brake force is 40% when I pull the trigger down.
Really?
Yeah. To
Jesus.
get that same feel and that same throw backwards on the brake, I start at 40% of the brake.
Wow.
That was the difference in feel between what the brakes felt like with the Samurai and what the brakes felt like with this. I'm sure over time I'll stretch that back out as I get used to the throw on the controller, but at the moment I've never been faster, I've never been more consistent, and I've certainly never been able to drive a buggy with the people that I'm racing wheel to wheel with and beating now. It's been great. I mean, the electric package in the B6 that I've got, the Reedy stuff, is just so smooth. I think JMO was saying it the other week. It's just a lovely feeling set of electronics to have in the car. That coupled with a good radio, a good strong servo, and a solid buggy, I've got nothing to moan about with my kit. But I don't know. Is there another choice of radio to go for? I suppose there is. If you want a wheel, you got the Futaba stuff to look at. But as far as sticks are concerned, if you drive with sticks, you've got a choice of two sets, and that's KO and Sanmar. If you really want to be at a level where you're competing with people at a good fast level, you need the reaction time of those sort of those sort of electrical components in your car.
Yeah, I've always ran KO.
Mm-hmm.
When I came sort of to start RC racing, it was a KO2, I think.
Yeah.
Is that the one? I think. And Gaz said, I think we've both got second-hand ones, and they lasted for years. I compared to my Spectrum, then got a 3, and I'm on a 4 now. I really like it. For me, it's how it feels in my hands.
Mm.
The KO is flat at the back with the little finger
Tabs.
guards, tab things, whereas the Sanwa is more moulded at the back, and that doesn't suit me.
They both feel, once you're used to them, they both feel equally good in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
The KO to me feels nice and secure because of those tabs. The Sanwa felt nice and secure because it was moulded to the grip of my hand. I think that's just a matter of getting used to it on the way the grip feels. But solid, absolutely solid controller. I can't fault it at all. I can see why you've stuck with them for as long as you have. Again, I wouldn't have changed from the Sanwa if I hadn't had the problem with it.
You would have stuck with that one. We were all really happy with it.
Mm.
And then I think they brought a new one. There's a double Z now.
Yeah, there's a ZZ, and I think there's another one on the way, or there's another one being released very, very shortly, or has been released not that long ago.
Yeah, so again, you mentioned it. It seems to be like a Northern European, an old man Northern European thing to run with sticks. So we just seem to have to do.
I'm not that old.
Yeah, okay, but I must be any new person comes up and they go, "Oh, you use sticks? I've got a wheel," and I would go, "Stick with that. Never change. You have your choices. You've got much more choices. There's better quality radios for half the price."
Yeah, we get ripped for 2-channel sticks or whatever they are. They're just.
Well, I can talk about that actually because I said that to a guy called Dave Smith. And I can say Dave Smith in the Northwest because there's about 100 of them. But the Dave Smith who comes to Southport, and I'll tell you how great a guy Dave Smith is, right? What Dave Smith provides for Southport is the toilet roll.
Oh, well done, Dave. Okay.
Dave Smith works in the factory where everybody's toilet roll is made.
Oh, that's lovely.
And I'll start off with, he's not stolen this. He asked for permission, and as a nice employer who has the world's supply of toilet rolls in their thing, they sort of say, "Oh, you're a member of a club, you can have all this toilet." So when you're in Southport, using toilet roll or using kitchen roll, that's Dave Smith. But get back to the point, what Dave Smith said was, I said the same thing you did, that we get ripped off. This 2-channel radio was 450 quid, and I've seen ones. I was driving my drone with the 70 quid Spectrum one that talked to me.
Yeah, that would go 3 miles away without any hint of a signal drop.
Yeah, and that was like £100, and the one I had was 450. But then he said, well, when he flies planes, proper aerobatic RC planes, and he goes, my Futaba for doing that is 1,600 quid. So maybe the drone stuff is quite cheap, but again, if you want a proper 8-channel radio, they need to pay money as well. But okay, well, we're both very happy. Samwell's are great. I think that's certainly the most popular one at Southport in the tent.
It's a reasonable mix, I'd say. There's a few people who use sticks at Mendip that were on the Futaba ones. I always found the Futaba stuff that I had 3GR, I think my one was. I had one of them, and I had a spare one as well, which I never used because it was just such a solid radio. That was a great bit of kit, but it started to age. And I just don't think the new one that they've brought out has. I've had a go on a few of them, and they're fine. They're fine. They're good, but they aren't KO good. They aren't Samuel good.
I cannot think of a check that Futaba could write to me. So in 10 years, please remind me of this. I cannot think of a check that Futaba would write for us to turn this into the Futaba Big Blue Tent thread that make me move from my KO.
Well, do you know what? I don't think changing radios is actually going to do anything to any sponsorships that I've got with anyone. So, Futaba, if you want to write to me, I would certainly love to try out any radios or anything like that for you and do a full review of them. That would be no problem whatsoever. But clearly, Aidan's not interested at all.
No, not at all. No, I'm just staking that right now.
I do take cheques or direct bank payments as well.
Yeah,
those
Amazon
are both
deliveries of radios, servos, and things. Because I use KO servos. I love the whole thing. I love the crazy Japanese manuals that you get. It's all brilliant.
Yeah,
it's all really good. So,
there's nothing like a bit of Google translated Japanese to English.
Yeah, on a radio that you don't really understand.
Yeah, where if an English person had written the instructions in the most basic way for you, you'd still be going, oh, I think I'll have to reread that.
Yeah. In fact, I think we've both seen the video on YouTube of Tom Cock when he was with Schumacher talking about the KO radio.
Yeah. The great
Yeah.
video.
Great video. If anyone has a KO4, please go and look for Tom Cock's KO4 instruction video. A lot of, don't use that button. No, don't touch that. Don't touch that. I can hear in my fantasies he was going, Aiden, never touch that.
Yeah. You don't need to listen to any of this.
Yeah.
This is the bit, and it's like, this section here, you need this setting set as this is this. And I did. When he said, these are the settings I've got on mine, I went on that video, and I went, right, mine's set to that, yeah, mine is on that. Oh, no, I need to change that to that. Done. And that was it. I'm not touching it again. That's good enough. And like you said, there's no need. There's no need to touch it again, really.
Okay.
Far too many buttons and things that those buttons do which I don't understand. It's like the slew rate thing on the Reedy speedos, the 410 and the 510. I've not experienced it on other ones, but oh man, I'm not starting to mess around with that stuff. I don't need to mess around with that.
Well, I used to mess around, not with slew rated. Well, I've not seen that option on any of the speedos I've had. I've not had a Reedy one, but I didn't used to mess with turbo and boost. But after what Ben Jemison was saying on the other podcast, he doesn't tend to do it.
Yeah, and what I've been saying to you for a long time, you mean?
Yeah, and I did say that at the time. Gups is going to be very happy because he tells me that all the time, and that's what I did. In fact, I did that on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was a bit quick, and I said, well, I've turned off my turbo and my boost, so all I'll do, in the old-fashioned way, I'll just put a big opinion on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And people were looking at me as if I've got two heads. What are you doing? I'm going to put a big... Just change that. Just put that on. Just put a bit of turbo boost. I said, no, but I'm going to leave it flat. And it was really good, and I did get better throughout the day just by putting a big opinion on. And to me, the motor was warm, but it wasn't really warm. And
this is the thing, it is... we drive modified buggies. There isn't a limit to what motor you can put in other than the ESC run.
Yeah.
So if you want to go faster, why wouldn't you just put a faster motor in?
Yeah.
Why would you change the way that motor feels by adjusting settings that you don't understand fully? I mean, boost is different. A bit of top end boost or timing is different. That's if you need to pop some timing on it, I think a lot of people would do that. I think the big one for me has always been turbo, because I don't believe you can always guarantee when that turbo's going to kick in. I just don't think you're that connected between your thumb and your brain to go, oh, I know my thumb's at 27.5%, it's going to kick in now. I've been here for 1.2 seconds, that's when I've... Who can really count that in their head? Come on, that's just making your car unpredictable. And each speedo deals with it differently. I've got the new Teamarine HMX, nicest box in the world, and its boost settings are completely different from my old RC Concept, and completely different from the LRP flow that I had before then. Mm-hmm.
So it's like that you say, every 0.1 of a second, your turbo goes up by a certain percentage.
Oh my god!
I'm like, no, let's not do any of that. Yeah. And I'm just going to go with, let's do what Ben Jemison said. Let's just take all that off.
Yeah.
Right. Take it all off, and then you know what your car's doing. And I think those are the bits. And again, one of the things we didn't talk with Lee about was stealing some of his setup secrets. As he said, a lot of those training days it's just time on the track.
Yeah.
The times that we spent with Stu Wood, everyone's first session, as he said, I'm going to and everyone should do this. You're going to come on the rostrum. You're going to drive until we see a problem, and then we're going to fix that problem.
Yeah, I like the way with me, I got round... did I get round a corner, or was it before I even got to the corner?
Right.
I think I probably went round the first corner or two, maybe. And he went, yeah, okay, right, pull it off. Take the diff out. Take your shocks apart. Clean that. Clean that. When was the last time you cleaned those? What's this called? I don't know what that's called. Well, it's on your buggy. Right, okay, what's it called, Stu? And I'll remember it from now on.
Yeah, it's just... What was that bit?
Oh, it was the bit about the planetary and satellite gears in your diff.
Okay. Right. Well done. Yeah, I think Lee talks about it. It's prep. It's the same for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
If you prep your car, if you know what you can try and do, if you try and learn bit by bit, hopefully we'll get better. Whether you are running 17.5 stock buggies on a sugared dirt track, or as we're doing, running 7.5s without boost and turbo on our big Astro tracks, just hammering it into that first corner as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Well, look, mate, I think we've still got a million things I could be talking about. I know I've got some news for round 4 of Opel Mendip. I know there's going to be somebody turn up there, not necessarily racing, but a bit of a celebrity face, shall we say, might be gracing us at Mendip.
Really?
Yeah, maybe.
Are you going to share that information?
No, I'm not sharing anything, mate. I'm just going to leave it at that and let everybody sweat it out. So enjoy that, everyone. I want to know if they're going to use the tree stump, because the tree stump down there being one of the...
I love the tree stump.
Yeah, who doesn't love the tree stump? You know, I know it's annoying for some people. I know it's hard work to get around. I know cars get caught behind it sometimes, but... Oh, man, it's the tree stump. How often do you get to go around a tree stump?
Yeah, a tree stump up a hill.
Up a hill. Awesome. With a weird jump on one. Do you know what? I think we should start a petition to make sure that the tree stump is revamped, ready for Opel.
Yeah. Oh, look, I think Damo always used to say it was one of his favourite parts of the track.
Yeah.
It's ours. It's it's one of those toy car things. Southport's back section, Mendip's tree stump.
Yeah.
The Big Bear McBerry.
Yeah.
These are the things that you go to. Robin Hood's big double in front of the rostrum that we go to because you really want to have a go at those. So I love that. I love the tree stump, and it's also it is a tree stump on a side of a hill, so you just don't crash. There's normally a Marshall stood right next to it anyway.
Oh, I don't know. Do you know what? I think that a lot of the thing with that tree stump is I've seen many cuts. It's a very difficult place to marshal because it is on a steep bit of bank that is, it's dangerous. Let's not put it any two ways about it. If you fell down there, you probably do yourself a mischief, shall we say.
Right.
It's very difficult to position a marshal up there. It's very because obviously how steep it is. You don't want to put kids up there. You don't want to put anybody.
I was there last
year.
year.
To band anybody out. You certainly wouldn't want to put you up there. Jesus.
I was there. That's where I was last
exactly.
year.
And that's probably why people got left and upside down behind the tree stump, with you looking the other way, gobbing off at someone.
But doing nothing wrong.
It's a difficult place to put someone to arrange the heats around. So I get it, but it is a massive part of Opel coming to Mendip. So I think it would be a crying shame not to have that tree stump in. But that's me personally. Everybody's more than welcome to voice their opinions on that on the Facebook pages. I'm sure Martin Owen would absolutely love that.
Well,
if he's listening to me now, he is cursing my name.
Well, we'll get him on. We'll get Martin on because I know that we've talked about we've both got regionals this week. We've got
Yeah.
Oopel next week, so definitely I want to talk to some of the Southwest guys next week.
Yeah.
And get them on just to try and wind them up for
So
Oopel.
let me get this right. But for Oopel, we're staying in the caravan park we normally stay in, or are we
Yes.
staying in the one? Right, we are staying that one. So we're not
Yeah,
staying
yeah,
in the one now with the fancy water slides.
No.
Okay.
No, because they wouldn't let us.
Wow.
Again,
That's very mean.
I did have a conversation. Now, I'll start with host seasons are very nice. And we now have got 2 caravans to stay in, 2
Thank you.
statics to stay in right next to the track. Thank you very much, host seasons, for helping us. But there was like a 20-minute text chat regarding, oh, hang on, you're a single-sex group of fellas out for the weekends, getting pissed, causing trouble, fighting. And I'm like, no, we're there to race our toy car. So they even checked our Facebook page.
Ah, that was good of them.
I told them, well, here's my Facebook page. We're going to race our toy cars there. So we are back into the Pern. It's called something like the Riverside now.
Yeah, it used to be called Pern Holiday Park, but I think that was when it was privately run. I think
It says Riverside, and there's a picture of a big lake. I can't remember a big lake.
No, I can't remember. Maybe they're referencing the quarter-size paddling swimming pool that they've got in there.
Well, okay. A lot of work has been done. I'm going to say this to the guys who are staying over, and it's not just so it's me and you and Tommy and Tipsy and Borley. Garner's staying elsewhere.
Mark and Rob Hancock are going.
Hancock are going.
Chris Busby.
Chris Busby is coming as well. So we've got 2 caravans. So
Borley.
Yeah, Borley. Oh, Mike Parker. Mike
Parker.
Yeah. Only on the Saturday though. He's not.
Could he not handle 2 nights after the last couple of years of staying 2 nights with us?
No, after Brockstow, I'm staying in a small box room with Tommy. He can only cope with 1 night. So he'll be getting 2 men dip on Saturday, but he won't. I don't think he'll be there early. So anyone who needs any bits, they need to listen to this and then speak to Mike Parker next week so we can get it all bagged up for you, because that's really good when we turn up and there's just a bag of stuff and tyres that we've ordered, which I actually did at the beginning of this podcast.
Well done.
Ordered all my tyres with Mark. Mike?
Okay.
Someone. It starts
Someone. You sent it somewhere.
Yeah, I've no idea now. I'm just checking whether Lee's replied to my message.
I had a message off of Craig Mason earlier as well. He got all his. I spoke to him about the MIP stuff that I put on the buggy, the shafts and the roller pins and pucks and things like that. And he's ordered himself a set from over in the States, and they've come over already. So I think he got them today. So I'll be interested to see what his thoughts are on those. So let us know how you get on with them, Craig, if you're listening. I'll be interested to get an update and see how you found they've gone as well. But I think we should call it a night there, mate. And
yeah, because my phone's going to run out any second now.
No worries.
So I'm going to start off with thanks very much, mate. Thanks for your time. Thanks for all. I'm going to say this. Thanks for all the effort that you put in. Because you do a lot of the IT stuff with Seddon and all that stuff, and I just turn up and cause havoc on a Wednesday. So thanks for all that. Thanks for everyone who does listen. It'd be really good if you consider liking and sharing the podcast, because that's how we
consider it. Just like and share it. Not enough of you are doing it. So get off your ass. It's a click with one finger. Go and like and share the post. Share it. Review us on iTunes. Stop being tight. It's only going to take 5 minutes of your time.
Yeah.
It helps us keep the show going.
Yeah.
So if you like it, do us a favour and just share it and give us a review on iTunes. But
okay, mate. So, mate, speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon. You take care, buddy, and thank you all very much for listening. And we'll catch up with everybody next week.